Welcome to the next episode of the Accelerating AI podcast, and I'm absolutely thrilled that we are joined today by Kerry, and also Lionel's back. Lionel's back, wasn't able to join our last session. Kerry, welcome to our podcast. How are you doing?
Yay!
Woo!
I'm really good, thank you. I'm really good.
Do-
Good to be on here, and thank you for having me.
And just for our listeners and watchers, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Kerry Lewis Stevenson, famous really for getting to know everything and what everybody's doing and what they're up to around the region, really. We used to publish magazines. We are now fully digital, fully embraced digital. Very much B2B. And we also organise the region's largest business exhibitions. And if you don't see me on podcasts like this, you probably see me all over LinkedIn.
I'm pretty sure there won't be many people locally that won't have heard of Kerry Lewis Stevenson from Business MK. And testament to that, you're actually at your desk. Where are you right now?
Absolutely. I'm in the heart of the tech hub of Milton Keynes. I'm in MKU, and I found myself a cool little soundproof box, which is a bit weird on my ears. But yeah, so I'm at MKU. I'm just about to go into a networking event late.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for finding some time to squeeze us in. Kerry, one of the reasons we wanted to get you on is you dropped some pretty big news for us over the last week on Business MK's website.
Absolutely, we did. Yeah. So obviously, we are thrilled to be media partners again for the Accelerating AI conference. Super, super excited about it. And the most amazing news, you guys are doing phenomenally well. I've got to just say that. You've gone from an idea to actually putting on the city's, or one of the city's best known events for AI. And you're attracting some really big brands. And actually, I didn't think you could top what happened at the last one, but you really have. And Canva are joining you. The absolute heck. That's absolutely phenomenal. Testament to you guys and testament to the people that you work with. You're really getting your name out there. And it's a phenomenal event. And I'm just so excited that we were able to break the news that Canva are joining you.
Yeah, absolutely. And they join a strong lineup of Microsoft, NatWest, Free Agent, and anyone else want to do the additional announcement?
I think Kerry should.
Go on, Kerry. Kerry, what's the extra announcement we've got? We've just had confirmed in the last day or so.
We've got Google. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So not only do we have Canva, which is just insane, we've got Microsoft, Google, like I say, NatWest, Free Agent, and then of course ourselves and all of our regional partners. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And alongside that, we've got the venue change, so we've got capacity for up to 300. We're so lucky to be able to put on this event, and it's coming up rapidly now, October 13th. All I can say is if you're watching this and you haven't grabbed yourself a free ticket, they are flying at the moment. We're seeing tickets go out the door quite quickly. So please go and grab yourself one on the acceleratingai.co.uk website. So enough plugging the conference, guys. Let's talk about AI. What's been going on? Kerry, have you got any questions for us about the world of AI, and can we shed any light on anything for you?
How long have you got? Do you know what? As you know, I'm a marketer by trade, started off life as a graphic designer, and I've just watched what's happened to what my role was, in terms of I grew up, as it were, as a graphic designer and knowing the Adobe suite. And it's not taken too long before you just connected to Claude. I wouldn't suggest you do this, actually. I should be careful about how you say things like that. But essentially, connect it to something and all of a sudden it can do something for you. And I will put a caveat in there. Be very, very careful with what you connect it to. But for me, I'm just thinking, if this is where it is now, where is it going? And I've had many conversations with you three together and also on your own. And Lionel blows your mind, by the way. If you've ever got a spare few hours, sit with the man, because phenomenal, futurist, but actually realist, probably. Questions, I really do have so many. You asked me that when I first came on, or when I was going to do this, and I don't think I have one that I don't think I have one because I don't have the answers myself to ask enough questions about it. I suppose I'm still in that place where many businesses are, which is finding their feet and thinking, what do I do with this? How do I do it? And I just think it's such exciting times. It's a really exciting time to be in business. It really is. It's a tricky time, but it's also such an exciting time.
I think even for those of us who people may look at us, us three and say, these guys are really kind of ahead of the curve. They're ahead of the game. They know what's going on. They know everything about AI. Of course they do. Not true. We literally, we have a little WhatsApp group and we're all coming across new things every day. I mean, I put a message in our WhatsApp group the other day saying, wow, this blows my mind. There's a new thing that I didn't realize that you could do with Claude. It's been a thing for a long time. We've just not discovered it, right? And there's just so much of that. There's just so much going on in this space. There's an avalanche of new tools every week, every month. There's a new bit of news, a new model, a new application, a new way of doing things that I don't think you can ever quite be on top of it all. So if you're feeling like that and other businesses are feeling like that, I'd agree. We feel like that. We feel like that for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's one thing I can say, though. It's worth belonging to a community. I mean, we have our little community where we're sharing information, we're helping each other along. And I think if you're on a journey, finding other people to go on that journey with you is so handy. And it's kind of what the conference speaks to. The conference is not a technical conference. It's not a sales conference. It's a practical business conference where you can come and meet people that are like-minded, going on a similar stage and a similar journey as you. And linking up with those kind of people really is what helps you promote yourself and your understanding. I mean, there's AI, there's some new AI breakthrough. There used to be an AI breakthrough one a month. Now there's several breakthroughs in a day. That's kind of, we're in the singularity and it's all happening so quick. So I think, the one thing I can encourage you is get involved in the community and get people to work with you and share that journey, because I think there's just so much to be learned from that.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well, because one thing I'm learning is, always have your wits about you. Guardrails. We're talking so much more in the media about guardrails now and looking at what you should be doing, what you shouldn't, and being careful, because it can be dangerous in the wrong hands, and there can be a lot of sensitive information that you're essentially putting out there for everybody. Would you put that information in front of your competitor? That's what you always have to think, right?
Mhm.
And I think that it's right to be in a room with, for example, you guys and the Accelerating AI community, because you're there with like-minded people, as you say, and those that can be there to support you and help you, because no one's got the answer at the moment, right? Even the big tech giants, because they keep releasing stuff and then taking away, testing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like also these AI CEOs from the AI labs, they're waking up every day to disruption as well. They're waking up every day against their competition, thinking, what on earth has happened yesterday? What happened yesterday? What happened to our competitors yesterday? What was released? What happened out in the other side of the world as well? Because there's no handle on it. So I think, if we're feeling like we're learning, even the AI labs, the Anthropics and the Open AIs and the Googles and the Microsofts, they're thinking the same thing. So I think we're all in the same boat, and I think we're all ready to learn. We're all leaning in, and I think this is kind of a consistent theme across the entire community is just lean in and learn. That's simply it, and we're here to do that as well.
Something I thought I'd share very quickly. Sorry, Matthew. Is,
sorry.
I was introducing the conference to the NatWest Accelerator today. Absolutely wonderful stuff that they're doing at the NatWest Accelerator and the way they're supporting entrepreneurs on their journey. I think it's extremely commendable. I'm really actually proud that they are a partner with us and playing such a big role. But it was really encouraging because so many entrepreneurs now realize that in order to be able to make their businesses a success, they need to have an element of AI in their businesses. And it's those specific communities where people are getting together and going, well, how do I achieve more today than I did yesterday? And they've got a whole bunch of people around them helping them do that. And that's where those kind of things, that's where you learn those skills.
Yeah.
Are really, really encouraging.
Yeah, and those we talked about it before, I know, but those efficiency gains within businesses compound. So the more you can get the basics right and get things, the noisy stuff and streamlined, automated, the more time you can elevate yourself to education, learning, then applying that layer in your business. And I think it compounds over time. Certainly, we've gone in our own business through a journey over the last 2 years of ChatGPT is a bit cool to now we've completely reimagined how we do development in our business. We don't design you talked about Adobe Creative Suite. That's the land I come from 14, 15 years ago as well. I'd spend most of my day in Adobe Illustrator, right? And I can say I haven't opened an Adobe application in a year.
Do you know, I was thinking that the other day. I was thinking, I haven't opened this in quite some time, and
You
it's
feel a
not
bit
too
rusty.
long. You really do. You absolutely do. It's and that's insane, right? Because I used to know every shortcut going with Illustrator and where to go and navigate around, and now I don't use it.
It's not that's really interesting actually, because I was talking about this with our developers the other day, and outside of our own agency, I follow lots of sort of leading developers and people who are working at the likes of Anthropic, and we've seen reports of the lead developer of Anthropic say that he hasn't used his keyboard in 18 months, let alone written a line of code. So you have to ask yourself, are we eventually going to lose these skills because they're just no longer required? And I would say, based on what I've seen, even as short as 6 months of not actually writing your own code is long enough to kind of your skill sets to degrade and come down. And I really do think that that's happening. It's an evolution of skill set, right? We're moving on to the next phase of skills, because prompting correctly is a skill, reviewing code is a skill, automation is a skill, running agents is a skill. All of these things are an entirely new skill, and you can apply them in so many different ways. So yeah, I think it's a massive opportunity. It is a bit of a shame that, because I quite liked working on Adobe Illustrator years ago, but gosh, that piece of work that took me 2 weeks, I can do in a day now, and it's as good, if not better, frankly, than I was as a novice designer. So yeah, it's unlocking so many opportunities for people who are willing to actually go on that journey and develop. You're totally right about guardrails as well.
Sorry, Kerry, I've got a question for you, Kerry. Just going to put you on the spot now, but where in your business are you using AI? I'm curious to know.
Yeah.
I'm using it for many things. So one thing I started dabbling with quite early on was marketing, and how I could write marketing plan, write marketing strategy. And like everybody, I was like, my gosh, it's done my thinking for me, and that's everyone's first go at just having a go at writing in something. But then I've been writing my ideal customers. I've been writing GPTs at my ideal customers. I've been bringing them into conversations and deploying questionnaires to them. I have been using it to produce a lot of dashboards now, competitor analysis. I've got it logged into certain social media that is watching, and you can imagine what I'm doing with it. But actually, it gives you real insight and some crazy analytics, and actually not just analytics, but the so what. What to do with that and how we can use them as a competitive advantage locally and nationally. What else am I doing with it? I've started dabbling. The other day, I had a form to use for our expo, and I'd not been using Claude at all. I hadn't gone near Claude. I was just on ChatGPT. And I went into Claude and then connected up to this form, which actually was a new login. I've not got anything associated with this thing. And then just asked it to create the form. And it did it in front of me. And I was absolutely blown away. It's like seeing my first robot. I was just like, wow. And again, with these guys, with these things, what I keep saying is, if it's here now, where will it be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? That's the exciting thing for me, because I've always worked in a really fast-paced industry, design, get it out the door quickly, redraw a vector, get it done quickly. And nothing can do it as fast as AI, and how that will just expedite your job and your process, because we want to move on to other things, right? So I think I've been using it workflows. I have been using it for looking at topics for LinkedIn or articles or news. I've got it scouting out, looking at what's going on in the area, because I can't be all over everything all of the time. I can listen to things, but not everything. So I've got it feeling out and looking at what's going on, and that's really to give me a competitive advantage. That's how I've been using it. It's a long-winded way of saying, isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
and then okay.
So go on, Mandy.
I was going to say that's all great, right? But we like to also talk about the realities of AI. So where have you seen some of the disconnects or the challenges with AI today?
Biggest challenge for me, which is as infuriating as hell, and if you can give me a prompt that stops it doing it, is hallucinations. Annoying the life out of me. And And this brings me on to, I suppose, a conversation around the new acts and the governance that's come in. You know, although we aren't in the AU, it does actually apply to us because we do service the EU. You know, we have an article that could get picked up by somebody in the EU. And also, and for those that don't, does somebody want to explain what the law is before me going into it? Because you can probably say it better than me.
We've done 2 whole podcasts on the subject of the EU
Okay,
AI Act.
fine.
So I think what we will do is refer listeners to those episodes for a
Perfect.
thorough debrief.
That helps me as well. And I think that, you know, if you look at what it can churn out, we've all seen those posts, meaningful. It reminded me, oh my gosh, if I see that one more time in a post, I am absolutely reporting you all for AI slop in LinkedIn because it's just annoying. And I think everybody's the same. We're all thinking the same. And that goes back to the same thing with writing articles. So, you know, I've got articles, I've put them straight into AI, but I have a GPT that I've written that is an editor, and it can spot spelling mistakes better than an editor I used to have when I was in print. It spots them immediately. Okay? And listen, we're all human. I'm not saying I've never made a spelling error, but my gosh, AI can just whip through it.
Yeah.
The other thing is checking for grammar, checking simple things like that, fact checking. But I think the thing with AI, we've all seen that AI slop, and I think we can see it when it's articles. And the whole thing around declaring something's written by AI, I think that's right. And I think you should. Because as an editor, we have always, when we've had something in print, you've always put at the top that this is an advertorial. And that's to declare that actually the reader is reading something that's been paid for. And it's right and proper that you do declare that, because the reader needs to know that they're not reading something that could be unbiased.
Yeah.
You know, they do need to know that. And I think that's right and proper to do so. So I think anyone who's churning out AI and just thinking that's fine, that'll do, let's get it out there, and not fact checking it, well, quite frankly, you're stupid, and don't do it, because we all know we can spot it a mile off. Yeah. But B, you need a human in the loop, and that's the interesting thing about this AI. You always need a human in the loop. You need to be checking it. You need to make sure that it's correct. And even when I bring an article out and have a look at it, I always go over it and make sure there's nothing in there that I don't want in there, and that's important.
Yeah.
And
just to add on that, you're across the subject of the sort of invisible watermarks in content, and what obviously Anthropic are the first to come out and say that they are applying invisible watermarks in text, code, imagery, video, audio, and that's going to start we're going to start seeing that play out over the coming months and years. Are you familiar with what's going on there and how that might impact?
No, I'm not actually. I haven't seen any of that.
I'll take text as an example. So let's say you have a passage of text that's 500 words. So effectively, in sort of simple language, the very structure of those sentences is watermarked. So you can't, if you get a 500 word piece of content and you copy and paste it, let's say you put it in a plain text editor, so it removes any metadata, and you copy and paste that and you stick it on LinkedIn, still 100% detectable, but not 100%, nothing's going to be 100%, but potentially detectable as written by AI. And they're doing that just by by calculating the likeliness of a given word being used in the same way that AI actually works, because it's predicting the next word, right? It's predicting the next sentence. So if you can work out what that pattern looks like, you can identify content that was written with AI. So fundamentally, if you wrote 500 words of content and you didn't want it to be picked up by AI, you're rewriting it. Or you're sticking it through some other model that has not signed up to this watermarking type approach. Even then, there's no guarantee it won't be detected. So I think that's really, really interesting, because, you know, we've talked about watermarks in terms of like hidden pixels in images, and that's quite obvious, but a lot of people, that is passing them by, that it isn't like something you can just get rid of by changing a few words. You're going to have to completely restructure your content to remove that watermark. Yeah. So that's
interesting. There's a big debate around this, right? Like as to like, well, what's the value in a world of some sort of augmentation with AI? We are going to be left with the reality that, you know, AI is going to be peppered in as an influenced by, right, whichever content we're creating, whether it's video, text, you know, images, and that watermark is I think, here to stay. I think but it's more about kind of like trying to be more transparent
Yeah.
to users and readers and say, hey, yeah, I did use a little bit of AI to augment this. Doesn't matter really. And at that same premise that you made, or that point you were making, Kerry, around this is an advert and we have like a little logo saying it's an advert. It's same kind of principle, and I think that's okay. But it's interesting that this is all starting to come out post
Yeah.
the AI EU Act.
I mean, in a previous podcast when we were talking about it, I did ask, what is the value in having this? If everybody's using AI,
Yeah.
what's the use in having a badge? There's only one or two real kind of situations where I think it becomes really important. Is if you're looking at video created for election campaigns, where effectively you want to verify the authenticity of the presenter, whether that's a president or a PM, your PM or your politician. Because what we're trying to do is really combat fake news and combat AI created propaganda. I think it's helpful for broadcasting outfits to be able to tell the authenticity of something, and I see it really valuable in those instances. But I suppose for everything else, not really that much benefit, in my opinion.
I think also
I was going to say though, because you started off really enthusiastically, Kerry, about all these things you've been doing about AI, and I was going to say we've got somebody else in our group that's exactly like that, called Matthew. And so between Andy and I, we create these honeypots from time to time where we say, it would be really nice if we had this app, and then look at Matt, and Matt goes, yeah, okay, I'm going to build that. And then we get this spurious message at 2 a.m. in the morning, look at what I've built.
Yeah, it's
I need to get access to your group chat. I'm telling you, your WhatsApp group.
it's
I
wild.
think the other thing for me is it's about the IP, right? So, okay, there's two things here. If you start using AI so much, you start writing like it, then how does it detect it? And I'll give you an example. I'm hearing a lot more people now say the word meaningful when they're talking to me than they ever did. Now, there's a strange thing, right? What happens if we do start writing like AI? Because we've learned from it. It's been a bit of an educational thing. So there's one point. But the other thing for me, the IP of it. So it's learned from us and what we've given it. The masters, the journalists, the reporters. So if it's learned from us and we own that, who owns it and how? And there's a whole thing around who owns it and who gets paid for it, because there's a whole rights company, PLS, that pays publishers for their content. So maybe actually they're trying to watermark it or trying to IP it. Maybe it's something around that. I'm not sure.
An interesting one. So obviously, I'll pick one of the biggest books of all time, which is Harry Potter, right? If you wanted the next book that's never going to be written, it's never going to be released, and you said, right, like J.K. Rowling, here's the previous 7 novels, I think there is. Write me what happens next. Write me the next novel, right? Where do you stand with that? Because that content didn't exist before. Therefore, it's not copied in the sense of it's a new novel. It's not the same novel. It's a brand new novel of a journey that would never have been written in the first place. And then add another layer on it. Maybe you influence the storyline. Maybe you influence the plot, right? And you change the story. Is that still a Harry Potter book? Is J.K. Rowling due a royalty on that? And these are the types of I don't think there's anybody that's really solved that as a concept. I do think that very early doors, these models were scraping the internet almost underneath everybody's noses. Unless you were in this space, you didn't realize that's what was happening with your copy and your content. So you never consented. You never consented to that being swallowed up into these models, right? But here we are, and now we're all benefiting from them having done that. So it's a really conflicting thing, isn't it? Particularly in the world of publishing.
Well, AI is learned from human scale IP, right?
Yeah.
So it's a humanity intellectual property problem rather than an individual. And I don't think you can. I mean, we've got outfits now that are buying out books that were never published on the net, wholesale warehouses of books being purchased, being scanned in to teach AI, and then burned. Literally, books being destroyed, right? Because the reality is we've run out of content for inference on the web. We've ran out of digital content. Effectively, AI has learnt on everything that's digital. There's nothing more new, and everything being created is almost all AI created, right? A statistic from Cloudflare says that as of last month, 51% of the traffic that traversed the internet was AI agent traffic. In the next 5 years, all traffic in the net, 99% of traffic on the net will be agent-based, not human-based. Okay?
Wow.
And these are things, we're coming up to some really, really big numbers here that nobody anticipated, but that is how hungry all of this AI stuff is. You know, we haven't got quite to the point of recursive self-learning, where the AI is fully now, once we get into recursively self-learning AI, we reach AGI and then we reach ASI very, very quickly after that, right? But at the moment, these AI companies are starved. And as I say, organizations are buying every bit of printed material, specifically the older books that's never been released on the internet, just to scrape the content. So, you know,
And that's
interesting.
just in the text domain, right? You've got
Yeah.
image domain, you've got video
Oh, yeah,
domain,
yeah,
you've
yeah.
got, teams and teams and, massive populations of people just sat there just filming and recording
Yeah.
actions
Yeah.
that are
Well,
happening. So that
Yeah.
not only we're reading from text, right? You've got then like robotics and the next frontier of robotics actually learning the physical world based on, the physics.
People with cameras
around.
on their
Yeah.
foreheads doing things, right? Yeah.
We-
Just so the AIs can learn.
Well, one more example I would leave us on as we approach sort of the end of the session is, I talked earlier about effectively stealing the concept of Harry Potter to write another Harry Potter, right? Well, cast your minds forward. We all put so much of our lives on the internet. We put videos of ourselves on the internet. We put this podcast on the internet. We put audio books on the internet. We put pictures all over our social media. We write all over social media. At what point are we going to be able to digitally clone ourselves? Right. And, or more importantly, is somebody going to be able to digitally clone us? And then you get into, a whole different situation, right? At the moment, things like deep fakes are generally only convincing when you have enough raw material to base it on. So your presidents, your celebrities of the world, there is thousands of hours of footage of those people. They are easier to deep fake. And even those deep fakes are, questionable at times.
Questionable.
But that's improving. That's getting better and better and better. So I think this is, it's another philosophical question as well, isn't it, around where this is all going? Can we trust what we see online? At the moment, we've been talking about, being able to spot straight away that piece of content was written by AI just because of the words they've chosen to use or the M dashes or whatever it is. But actually, that's not going to be like that forever. The models are going to get better at writing more. They're learning from us correcting them, right? So, it is going to get more natural. The language is going to get better. It's going to get harder and harder to spot. And potentially even AI detection tools and watermarking might not work for very long. So that's the way this is all going.
That's the thing as well. When you were saying it, I was thinking, well, okay, doesn't that just take someone, Bright Spark, to write something which is the antithesis of that and actually then breaks that down? It won't take long because you have to just, as a prompt, put in the negative, and sometimes you get what you're looking for. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not intelligent enough to know it. I'm just excited by what's in front of us now, and I'm just enjoying playing with it and seeing where it's going and what's happening and how it can help me.
Well, we've been on a bit of a roller coaster on this podcast already, and I think that it's testament to the subject, right? There's lots of good things to talk about with AI, lots of negatives, and lots of philosophical questions as human beings, let alone business owners, human beings we need to answer. If you want more about that, and different perspectives, the conference is the place to get it and actually network with other people, make some connections with people who are also going through this journey and learning at the same time. So just to bring it back to a selfish plug of the conference, make sure you get yourself registered to come along on the 13th of October. That's where I get the date wrong. 13th of October. Tickets are available now. As I say, we've announced now all of the speakers. We do not have any more space for any more speakers. We are chock-a-block with agenda at the moment. So yeah, I mean, that's all going to be public on the website very, very soon. And you'll be able to see what's coming up and what we're all going to be talking about. So yeah, get yourself registered. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Fabulous.
Okay.
Thank you.
you.